Hello and welcome to Love in Your Garden headquarters, where summer has finally arrived. So, what better to talk about than summer planting? How to get the best out of your garden at this time of year so you can sit back and enjoy it with a glass of Pimm's and lemonade or your glass of wine, whatever your poison is. And to help us with that, our resident horticulturist John Stirland, and I will be joined by one of the world's most renowned garden designers. And we will have lots of suggestions for dealing with things like the heat, drought, summer pruning, and of course, the right plants to really transform your garden. Let's crack on and meet the team. We're joined by one of our nation's most decorated garden designers, RHS gold medal winner, David Stevens. Hello, David.
Hello, Rod. Don't build it up too much, mate.
No, I think it's very, very apt in your case.
Thank you.
I suppose when you've been through as many summers as we have, there is a sense of deja vu. But the great thing about gardening is that it rarely is the same, is it? I mean, every season seems to be, every year seems to be different.
It is quite right, and we are tending to get hotter summers, but these things tend to reverse out over a period of time, don't they, John? And things will go wet and cold and all the rest of it. But that's gardening, and that's what we have to cope with. That's what we love as well.
Yeah, that's David. We can remember '76, and that was, to me, that was still really horrendous. That was one of the worst. If you like the sun, it was one of the best. But if you're a gardener, it was one of the worst.
Well, let's talk about watering while we're on this subject, watering and heat management, because we're told that summers are going to keep getting warmer, and we clearly are having an issue with the amount of rain we're getting. So, how do we get smarter with gardening in these conditions?
One thing that I've got is now 3 water butts. One leading from one and leading to the final one. And of course, that's better than tap water anyway, as far as I'm concerned. But I think one thing that we need to think about is mulching well, which will help to retain the moisture in the soil. Good ground cover, which does the same thing and retains the moisture in the soil. And I tend to use quite big areas of, if I've got a bare patch of loose cobbles and even smooth boulders with plants coming through, because the boulders actually hold that moisture in the soil as well. So, and shade, although a lot of people, to me, think that shade is difficult, shade is good in a garden. I've got, and you think, John and Rod, I've got this wonderful big magnolia, shady area completely underneath, and things that are shade lovers thrive there. And in those dry conditions that we've been having, they've still been absolutely fine. So what I'd say is encourage shade. If you can, plant shrubs and trees that will give you some shade. Think about mulching. Think about retaining moisture in the soil. Do all that you can to keep that moisture locked in there.
Yeah.
Just picking up on what you said about the magnolia, and for people who wonder about the importance of gardens when it comes to the property as a whole, am I right in saying that that magnolia was the reason you bought that house?
Took me 2 years, Rod, and we got it in the end. And the trouble was, the magnolia cost me £365,000. The house came free. I don't mind that. But gardeners, this is what we do. People buy a garden because it faces in a certain direction, because it's got a good view, because some of the established planting is excellent. And if you've got that, these things are linchpins that then you can build the new garden around.
Yeah.
And I'm a great believer in don't slash and burn, don't take everything out. Look at what you've got. Look at the structural plants. Look at structures within the garden. Don't immediately take them out. I've got this wonderful old serpentine concrete path because it's a 1930s house. Now, years ago, we'd have taken it out and skipped it. But now I've kept that. The carbon footprint is minimal, and I've blended that into the new pattern of the garden. And that, together with the structure plants and shrubs, those, if you like, that's the skeleton of the garden. And then you can flesh it out with all of the things that you want to place.
Yeah. I must admit, David, we've got 2 apple trees in here. As soon as an apple tree is over 20 years old, it starts to get lots of character to me. And when I saw the apple trees and they were a lot older than 20 years, I thought, this is where I've got to be. And they're fantastic. And of course, you can grow things through an apple tree as well.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is a training device. It's not just a tree of its own. But the other
Talking
thing
of
about
very
watering rod, I would say, is when you water properly. There's no point in going out at night with a a sprinkler and just going round and watering things. If you've done the pots, for instance, and you've got a bowl of water, pour that round a whole plant, because it'll go right down 5, 6, 7 inches, even further. And then when you put Dave's mulch on, it's going to stay there for a lot longer. It's a waste of water just to put a little bit round each plant. And so I watch people on the allotment when they're watering, and I'm looking and thinking, it's going to do absolutely nothing, but they think it is.
I always think it's a good exercise to, when you finish watering, just find a little sort of spare space if you've got any, and dig down a little bit. And it's always surprising to see how far the water has gone down. You'll find that it's not as deep as you think.
No, exactly.
And what John says, if people just sprinkle it on, it flashes off in this dry weather.
Yeah.
It doesn't even hardly hits the plants. It's just gone, doesn't it? It really has.
And also, David, you can hear the slugs going yippee
Yes.
at night.
If you
Out
do
they
it at
come.
night, yeah.
Just that surface is nice and damp, and the next thing your hostas are like Nottingham lace.
But talking of slugs and snails and hostas, I've got this big Corton steel bowl full of water.
Oh yes.
And of course, I've got some stones and boulders in it, and all the birds come down to drink, and the blackbirds in particular. I haven't got slug or snail damage on any of my hostas. They're magnificent. And if you like, that's got a biological control.
Yeah.
And one creature is then a predator on another, and that keeps the whole system going. And it's important in a garden.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe just finish on a couple of summer survival tips then for hot summers, just for the benefit of bullet points. What should we be careful to do?
One of the things I always say to people, the bigger the pot, the better. And a really big, deep pot is going to give you that depth of soil, and it will help maintain the moisture. And the plants really do benefit, and you don't have to water every day or whenever. It just makes sense. It really does.
Okay, let's get on to summer planting then, and colour, because this is the time of year, isn't it, when you want your garden to look at its best. I mean, people have, particularly keen gardeners, have been putting all this effort in through spring to get their garden looking great. And I know, David, you're going to bring some of your plants into this. But let's talk about plants that do well and the importance of colour.
To me, if you don't mind me starting, because David's the designer, and because when you go to a garden centre, people go regularly, and then we'll have one of them, and then we'll have one of them, and then they go a bit later, and it's one of them. And I mean, to me, there should be a certain amount of planning. It's great to go to a garden centre, but and you end up all higgledy-piggledy. I've got what you can see behind me here. I've got a fern. I've got a fern rod. I know you're not that keen on fern.
No, they've got their place, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I find these wonderful between, say, two. If you've got two bright colours and you want to subdue them a little bit, that green between them keeps them apart, stops them boxing each other, getting on each other's nerves. And I think they're fantastic. So yeah, just you should have some idea of what you want in the garden, to me, to start with, and then go down the garden centre, have a coffee, and then have a look round and think, is that going to fit in? Or you end up with a garden that's, I don't know, you can tell it's not designed. It's difficult for me to say, but I'll leave it till David now.
I mean, you're right, John. I mean, overcomplication is the death of any kind of design, whether it's textiles, whether it's cars, and particularly in gardens. And nurserymen and the garden centres aren't daft. They're called point of sale. And people go in and they see, it's that lovely little red plant. I've got to have that. And
Yes.
they never read the flipping label. And if you read the label, it will tell you the basic information. and they find it'll grow 8 meters wide and 8 meters high in 3 years, and it's totally unsuitable. So, honestly, take your time, John. Exactly right. Do your homework and plan over a period of time. And I think in a garden, try and plan for a succession of colour and interest. And it's become a bit of a dirty word with people say, oh, shrubs are not in vogue now. I tell you what, shrubs are the backbone of a border.
Yeah.
They will give you that colour and interest right the way through the year. Evergreens, of course, in the winter as well. And then you can work in your hardy perennials and your ground covers and all of those things. I mean, we were taught, I was trained as a landscape architect, and we were taught that, you need that balance. You don't need to have a mono planting of, I know it's, grasses and hardy perennials now. And they say, oh, it looks wonderful in the winter with all the seed heads. You get a really heavy shower or really bad rain and wind, it looks awful. It really does. I shouldn't say that. But it loses its colour and texture. But a shrub border with perennials looks fantastic. Look at people like dear old Rosemary Vera, who's passed now. Look at some of the borders that she did. That, to my mind, is what a true mixed border is all about. Absolutely fabulous.
The lovely mixed border with shrubs, deciduous shrubs, and
Yep.
when those leaves fall off in autumn, then you can have hellebores underneath and things like that, which are protected in the summer with the leaves, and then they get the stage to themselves in the winter.
Which are still flowering now. My hellebores have still got
Yes.
flower on.
Some of the modern ones, the colour goes, but they
Yeah.
still look
Yeah,
fantastic,
they're good.
don't they?
They're good.
Yeah.
At the moment, I've got quite a bit in flower. I've got the Alstroemeras are just starting. They're breaking buds now. They're just starting to come in flower. The early roses are out, which are fabulous as well. I've got some cracking. One I have got, which you've got to be careful with. I've got Rambling Rector, which is a wonderful.
Good Lord.
But I tell you what, it's a fabulous. But I've let it run in and out of stuff, and it's in the winter. It's gauntlets and a pair of loppers. Don't even think about secateurs with it. But it's a wonder at this time of the year. Pure white flowers, not very big, but masses of them. And I've got it running through a huge solanum, which is also covering an old hibiscus. So I've got hibiscus underneath, I've got the solanum on top, and I've got the Rambling Rector running through it. So it's 3 plants in one, really. And that's a good tip, I suppose, as well. You mentioned that, John, about running roses or whatever up into your apple trees. And it's a great thing to give more interest to one plant, bringing interest to another plant.
Like you say, David, you've got a continuation. You've got something else coming. Who wants chrysanthemums 52 weeks a year? We got excited about the narcissus, and then the tulips, and the rhododendrons and azaleas, and then we go on, don't we?
And of course, all the hardy geraniums, or many of the hardy geraniums, are flowering right now.
They're fabulous.
My euphorbias are looking fantastic, and of course, they give you colour and interest for a huge long season. They really do. I've got self-seeded foxgloves all over the place. People should remember that they form the leaf one year and they flower the second year.
Yeah.
And I just let them self-seed anywhere, basically. And if they are in the wrong place, you just pull them out. But they look wonderful and they pop up. You never quite know where they're going to be. And they're an accent plant. They lead the eye because of that lovely tall shape. And they go with nearly anything, don't they? They look good with nearly anything. I've got a big one in front of my hot lips. Salvia hot lips, which is fantastic. And they look fantastic together. And sometimes that you get these combinations purely by chance. One thing flowers or comes through another and you think, wow, that's good. I'll try that again.
Yeah, one of the great shrubs at the moment is it's common, but ceanothus.
Oh,
what a blue! What a blue that is.
You probably noticed I went slightly red-faced when you said it's no good having all of your perennials in one bed, because that's exactly what I did, and I'm looking out at my that bed now, and it's all green. I mean, there's so much foliage, and there is a bit of colour because I've got hot lips in there and I've got an arum, but yeah, I do need to break that up, and the point is taken, David. Thank you very much indeed.
The only way you can do that, Rod, is to have with a herbaceous, but is to have a massive herbaceous border. Like the double one that you get up at where is it in Yorkshire? I can't remember now. Fantastic. There's so much room that you can put lots of things in because there's always something coming on. But in a garden, you want that mixed border, like
Yep.
David's mentioned. So
Yeah.
you've got something at different heights
That's right.
all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, a lovely combination I've got at the moment: a blue hardy geraniums together with astrantias, and they look fabulous. And the geraniums sort of lace their way through because they're quite a lax thing, but they almost climb up in amongst the plants, and they look absolutely fabulous. So I think about mixing your plants together. You mentioned ceanothus, John. Well, I've got that with a little rambling rose called goldfinch, and they
Oh,
both
yes.
flower at the same time, and they look fabulous. And if you want a fragrant rose, goldfinch is the one to have. I've got a little gazebo, and I've got goldfinch and honeysuckle running up around it. And the smell when you sit down there in the evening is just, preferably with a gin and tonic or a pint. That's what I would say. They looks, smells absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, we've got the first flood. Actually, it was the 2nd of May that we got the first flower on the Simple Life. Single rose, fragrant, and it's just a mass of flowers. It's phenomenal. Bees love it.
Yeah,
they love the singles because they can get in there easily. So the ceanothus and the garden is like it's just buzzing at the moment. It's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, and the other one that at the moment, of course, which does run on pretty well, are most of the sisters. And I've got Sisters Corberiensis flowering its head off. There's a lovely little pink one, Sisters Peggy Salmons, which is gorgeous as well. And then I've got down the bottom of the garden, Sisters Lusitanicus, which is a later flower, so that will be flowering midsummer, and that one carries on pretty much into the autumn. So sisters will give you flower over a long period of time. Lovely, lovely plants. They really are good.
You've given us some food for thought there. It's certainly given me food for thought in terms of breaking up some of that herbaceous border that I created. I was very pleased with it because, of course, at the end of the year, it looks fantastic. All these different shapes and structures and different colours. But at this time of year, it's a little bit lacking. So thank you. I'll do something about that. Probably straight after this podcast. Start digging.
When, like David says, when you've got those shrubs and things, you can underneath you can put like the hellebores and things like that, and perhaps a sedum somewhere, so that and I look at the sedums now and say, wow, in October or whatever, you're going to look fantastic. You can see them coming on, and I love. There's so many different sedums as well, and great plants.
And what they've done with the sedums, John, I mean, as you say, there's a lot more hybrids. And traditionally, they used to get a bit open, a bit floppy, didn't they? The centres would break out. But a lot of the newer varieties are much more compact now.
Yes.
And they're a good plant, aren't they? They really are.
Yeah, the old ones I used to put a hanging basket over.
Yes,
and grow through it. And that was that kept them looking great.
Do think of combinations, Rob. I mean, I'm just looking up. I've got the other computer on with the slides, and I've got Physocarpus diabolo, which is a beautiful deep purple, purpley, bronzy purple, great, which is in flower at the moment, which is great. In front of that, for later in the summer, I've got Hydrangea paniculata vanille frace. So it's a panicle one. It opens white and then turns pink.
Yeah.
And against that white against the Physocarpus looks fantastic. Underneath that, then I've got Alstroemeras running through. So that's the one, Indian Summer, which Peter Seabrook, bless him, gave me one of those at garden as well. It now fills one side of the garden. You can divide it up ever so easily. It's a good plant. So I've got those plants all working together, and they look absolutely fabulous. So do think of what we call reversal planting. You don't want to plant two variegated things together because they cancel one another out. So you're looking for different shapes of leaf, different shapes of form, and different colours which complement one another. So try and mix your palette, but make sure you get these reverses so it's not all of a one type.
Right. Okay. Well, a few things to think about there. Okay, let's move on to the design side of things, David. When we're looking at summer, it's not just about the plants, is it? There are other factors to take into account as well.
Yes, and water is certainly one of them. I mentioned my big water bowl. Something I put in recently for a bit of fun. I had an old galvanized tank in the roof. Don't use them now. We managed to get it down. My son underneath catching it. No, it's very heavy. I took it out in the garden and I put a liner in it, fills with water, and then I put one of these rain chains on. So from the rain chain, you take the old downpipe down away, and then you put a chain, and it has these cups in it. It's actually a Japanese feature. And when it rains, the water spills down it and just splashes down and tinkles into the galvanized tank underneath. It's the most lovely feature. And I've also fixed up a very small hose pipe that comes over the roof, garage roof, and down this rain chain. I can just put the tap on a fraction and it just sparkles down. It's a wonderful feature.
To me, a garden's got to have water of some sort in it. It really has, even if it's just one of these self-contained little features. But obviously, I've got a wildlife pond. Went down last night with the torch, full of newts. Absolutely fantastic. It was just delightful to see them. Smooth newts, but I've also got some crested newts now as well. Water to me is absolutely vital, and plenty of places to sit as well. Make sure you've got loads of places, even if you take a chair with you, a little spot where, even if you put a slab down between two shrubs or something, you can put your chair there, just sit yourself back and look. And if you do that, you've got at different times of year, you'll see different aspects all the time.
You will, John. I mean, in our garden, we've got 5 separate sitting areas. Not big, but just small, exactly as you say. I've got one where I've got a hibiscus on one side, and I've got a viburnum marizii, that lovely flat-headed teardrop. And it's nestled in there, and it's just great. You can sit there, and in the evening, you've got the evening chorus, and it's absolutely magic. So sitting area is important. Another thing in a summer garden is a lawn. And people again get a bit sniffy about lawns. A lawn, to my mind, is an essential part of the garden. Rod, you've got grandchildren, haven't you? And if you don't have a lawn, what can you do? And people get too worked up about it. A few daisies are great in a lawn. I mean, Pauline loves them. And I've got one area of daisies, and she says, don't mow the daisies. We've left them now as a little island in the middle of the lawn, and it looks lovely. But if you make daisy chains, it's a poor thing if you can't make a daisy chain with your grandkids, isn't it? It really is. But leave that grass a little bit longer in the summer. So again, it retains the moisture, doesn't it, in the lawn itself. Don't shave it. And if you live in the country, you're never going to get a bowling green. And I like a bit of speedwell here and there. It's that lovely blue colour. And I'm probably not a purist, but
a bit of speedwell.
You know, but lawns are a lovely part of a garden. Have a picnic or a barbecue or whatever. Great.
I must say, David, being as my lawn is a bit nearer the house. To me, the further away from the house you get, the more weeds or wildflowers you can have in it. I do like immediately near the house. I do like that looking nice and green, because it shows off everything else. If you've got a nice shrub or something, you don't want your eye keep going down to the daisies or whatever. But further away, I mean, I've got a fence, and then the other side is the wildlife garden. And they have many daisies as you want in there. So
very nice.
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah.
But thinking for summer colour, things like coming on perovskias. I've got that coming on in the garden now. That's just coming up nicely. Lysomachia. The only problem with Lysomachias, they're rhizomous, aren't they? And they don't run around the garden.
They do.
You need to take a spade to those in the winter and dig them out. I've got Lysomachia firecracker, which is purple foliage with a wonderful yellow flower, and that's going to be out pretty soon. And I've got off Rosie Hardy, bless her. And I phoned her up and said, I've got Lysomachia, it's Barystachys. It's a lovely white flower. And I phoned Rosie, I said, this thing's all over the garden.
Yes.
The one that does pop up too much in my garden is Lacesteria. Lacesteria formosa, which is it's a nice thing. Pheasant berry, used to plant them for pheasant cover, didn't they? When the Victorians. A lovely thing, but it will self-seed everywhere.
Yeah.
Really will.
But it's a
But
lovely thing, and I've
oh, it is.
always had one in the garden, David. But I mean, the Victorians loved them, didn't they? But
They did.
they've gone so out of fashion. But I think they're fabulous.
Interesting flower. That's all like
Yeah,
a shrimp
yeah,
flower, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's a lovely
yeah.
thing.
And
Really
then
is
the
good.
berries,
And
of
they're
course.
quick. If you want to you want to fill a quick hole in a border, plant Leycestoria and it'll be up before you know it. It really will. And you can cut it hard down and it'll be up again the next year. So good plant.
And you mentioned shade, David, shaded areas. Any particular plants that work well in shade?
Oh, loads. Of course, John's ferns, and I've got loads of ferns under the magnolia as well. Certainly all the brunneras, the forget-me-nots, basically. Jack Frost is one, but there are lots of very pale-leafed brunneras which just light up at sort of dark, shady areas, which are great. Things like, what else? Hostas, obviously, I've got
Hostas, they
underneath.
love, yeah.
Yeah. Astrantias grow well in shade. I've got them in shade and they're growing fine, absolutely no problem at all. And things like persicarias, a lot of the persicarias do well in shade.
Yeah.
Firetail I've got, which is quite a tall one. All the old bistors, they're good in shade, all those sort of things. So no excuse not to have good planting in shade. Hydrangeas, I've got edge of shade, wonderful. I know John's got one of his favourites there, haven't you, John?
Yeah,
Which is it?
I love my hydrangeas. The odd, the
Quercifolium, was it?
pardon,
Was it quercifolium?
hydrangea spera.
Yeah.
Is what is absolutely fantastic.
And I've got quercifolia.
Quercifolia, the oak leaf. Yeah, that's absolutely stunning when it's out. I give it, because I'm on alkaline soil here, I give it a little bit of a few sulfur chips just to keep the soil slightly on the acid side, and they love it. They absolutely love it.
Lobelias as well. I've got Lobelia syphilitica, which is a funny one, funny name. It was used for treating syphilis as a herbal. So it's what's in a plant name. There's all sorts of things.
If we went into plant names, David, we could bring the house down.
That's right. Yeah. So shade is not a problem. In fact, shade is a blessing. Really, in many ways, it retains the moisture. Plants last well in shade. Just pick your plants. There's no excuse with Mr. Google now. All you've got to do is to pop in shade-loving plants, and it comes up with a whole list of them: size, shape, aspect, all that.
Well, we can go further than that. Now we've got AI. Just ask your AI if you're into that sort of thing. They'll give you chapter and verse and tell you how to plant it and what you need. You guys might be redundant in another 50 years, the way things are going.
It'll never happen.
What a horrible world to live in. What a horrible world to live in. Yeah.
Interesting.
I remember once somebody asked me, we're having a bit of fun, somebody asked me for a nice grey-stemmed plant, and I says, you want to go for Rubus cockburnianus?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Excuse me.
Pardon? I says, no, it's a plant. It's an actual plant.
That's a lovely one. A lovely one to give winter interest, because it's got this silver branches, isn't it?
But Cambridge, there's one in Cambridge Botanic Gardens in their winter garden. Fabulous. Yeah.
It's a good plant. Yeah.
On that note, gents, it's always an education, and already I've made notes that I've got things to do instantly as soon as I'm out of this studio. I'm going to clear away some of those herbaceous and start thinking about other plants to put in there. So so just to summarise, if we're on this particular section, David, go for it. 3 key points.
Key points, really. I think one of the main ones is moisture retention in your soil. So mulch well, top dress if you need to in a gravelly area, helps to retain the moisture. Certainly think about successional colour through the summer, and don't just think about mono planting, as it were. Think about reversals, so one colour against another, one shape against another. And I think the final thing would be try something different. like my rain chain that comes down from the gutter and just sparkles down into a little old galvanized steel tank. So something a little bit different.
And my practical is to, when you are staking plants, start when they're quite small. Don't wait till the wind blows them over when they're 4 feet tall and they're bent over, because they
Yeah.
they don't very often go back again.
Or you do
So-
that thing when you come out and you say, "Oh, look, it's getting too tall," and bend it so that you can fit it back underneath the
Snaps.
support,
Yes.
Oh yeah,
and then wonder why it snaps in
yeah.
half.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
as soon as they need it, and there's some great staking things now. I know David loves his iron, his metal.
Or the best,
stakes.
I buy them down at Fakenham Market. That's where, that's the best ones for me. So-
The other day he was asking, "Where is he? Where is he, David?"
No, they're good, but and they're invisible, really. And I
Yeah.
love those. You can just plonk them around a plant. I've done it already. The one thing I now ask for birthday presents and Christmas presents are plant supports. That's it. You can't have too many of them. You really can't.
Absolutely.
That's so true. Gents, it's such a pleasure as always. And David, thank you so much for your time. And well, don't be a stranger and all that.
Absolute pleasure.
I dare say we'll get together with our Christmas hats on. I really must get one this year. I always seem to get the odd one out. Okay, lovely to talk to you, and thanks for listening, and thanks for watching Loving Your Garden podcast. And if there's any questions you'd like to ask us, just get in touch. You'll see all the details on the site, and do check out our Facebook group, Loving Your Garden. We're up to nearly 500,000 members now internationally, and it is lovely. It's such a pleasure seeing all those gardens, and there are some fantastic gardens on there. A constant source of inspiration, and people are very friendly, very willing to give their time and advice. So check it out. That's it. Thanks very much indeed. See you again soon. Happy gardening.
Bye.
Goodbye.